graduates, or not graduates, but students who are doing their undergraduate degree, somewhere between, I guess, your second year and possibly even your fifth year, depending on the program that you're on. But many of you may have younger brothers and sisters. So I'm actually going to tell you about the PEP bursary, which of course, those are for students who have completed PEP in the year of application and actually will be starting high school. And the PEP scholarship is actually valued at $60,000. And the requirement for all our scholarships, so I'll say it now, you may hear me say it again later, all applicants must have an active Victoria Mutual Building Society account. So before you even think about applying, ensure that you actually have a VMBS account that is active, not one that's dormant, but it is active, and you are, even if it is that you go down to open one tomorrow, just ensure that it is active as well. And essentially for that particular program, you are required to, the documentation is a letter of recommendation from the school certifying that the young student is a student of that school, the 2 last reports from that school, and a copy of an acceptance letter for your new school. And all of this information that I'm giving you is actually on our VM Foundation scholarships.myvmgroup.com webpage. We have another scholarship called the Future Plan, which essentially is a scholarship that's for students who are starting their tertiary education. So this one wouldn't be applicable to you. You're already at university, but again, you may have brothers or sisters about to enter. So I'm telling this to you also. It is for, the tenure is for 4 years, a maximum of 4 years. Most programs are 3 years, but there are some that are 4 years. And we award that to only 3 students. And the scholarship has a ceiling of $450,000. Again, all applicants must have a BMBS account that's active. You need a letter of recommendation, as well as your last 2 end of year reports, a letter of acceptance again, and certified copies of any CXC and or GSC, or certainly your first level of CAPE results. Our third scholarship is a master plan, which is really for persons who are in their last year of an undergraduate degree. We know sometimes there are financial issues towards the end. You're doing really well and you can't come up with the funds for the last year of your undergraduate. We have a master plan scholarship in place. Again, that's also $450,000. We only offer 1 scholarship. Again, you also have to have an active BM account. You need a letter of reference or transcript from the school. And of course, at this stage, we expect you to be able to write an essay on your role in community development. You also need a status letter from a registered institution. And lastly, our STEM scholarship is really looking at anyone who is studying for science, in an area of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And again, similar requirements for the master plan. You do also need to write an essay in this case of why you chose STEM. And all of this information is on our website, VM Foundation scholarships.myvmgroup.com. And all the details are there in terms of required documents. The platform is actually now open. We actually have a scholarship application platform. It's now open and you'll be able to access those then. I think, more importantly, when we are interviewing our scholars, I will tell you from the start, one of the things that we look for are how you can put yourself together for the interview, as well how you can shape yourself, brand yourself in your resume. Your resume does not need to be lengthy. What it needs to be is impactful. So you need to think about the things that you have done that have impacted yourself, that have impacted your peers around you, and that have impacted maybe even your wider community or outside of your community. We want to see things that are that you have done that are sustainable, that are innovative. We want to be able to see things too that suggest that you are a good scholar. You have done well in terms of your grades, you are consistent, and you are committed to the area of study. Outside of your resume and putting that on paper, what we want to be able to see in your interview are things that speak to you. David introduced me as very passionate, and I tend to be passionate, animated, full of excitement. You don't necessarily have to be that way, but you certainly need to show that you are interested in this interview, that you are interested in this scholarship. So if I go back to last year, somebody came to the interview and I asked them, you know, what do you know? Why did you apply for this scholarship? And their response was, oh, it was just one of those things and I just decided to apply. Just like that. You cannot come to an interview and say that. There needs to be some interest in the area of scholarship that you are applying for. We need to show relevance. You need to show your relevance. You need to show your interest in that particular area. When you do come to the interview, you need to be prepared. You need to know at least to whom you are applying. So you need to know a little bit about the corporation that you're applying to. You need to show that you have done some research in that. If you happen to have worked elsewhere, you may want to be able to show in your interview how working elsewhere has put you in a better light to be able to apply for this scholarship, to be able to, why you think you should be the one to get these scholarships. We all know that the scholarship arena is very competitive, and in many organizations you only get one scholarship, or they're only offering one scholarship. Some they offer 3 in a particular area of scholarship. But the reality is the scholarship arena is extremely competitive. So you need to come with your A game. And your A game does not need to be a string of A's on your resume. You need to present yourself and let your resume shine through whatever it is that you are saying at the interview. So again, you need to show commitment. You need to show the fact that you are deserving of this. You need to show at least that you've done some research. You need to be able to show the interviewer, speak to the fact that, certainly of why you are deserving of the scholarship. We do not at VM Foundation have specific parameters, but one of the things that we do look for initially, of course, is financial need, but that's not the only thing. We do want a very all-rounded individual, somebody who can get, yes, good grades, but I will be honest with you, we don't focus too much on good grades, but good grades are important. I don't want to miss that point. Good grades are important, but we also want to be able to see the individual, because at the end of the day, we want to be able to say, when you get through your degree, we want to be able to look at you and say, let me pick a name here, Jonathan Rigg. Jonathan Rigg needs to be, to embody the VM scholar. So Jonathan Rigg should be looking to come back to us after to get a job, to do some internship, or even whilst he's on the scholarship. So when you come to the interview, you need to present yourself in a way that, you know, I really do need this scholarship and I am suitable to be somebody that you would want to hire later on. So when you come, it's not just about getting the scholarship, but really looking at your assets, looking at your skill sets, looking at what you bring to the table. It requires little things that we're able to see and discern that people, I think, young people now may not be cognizant of. So little things like, are you punctual? Are you disciplined? Do you have self-control? You need to be able to show some of this on your resume in some way, but certainly when you come to the interview, you know, you will get a scheduled time for the interview. If you are scheduling and coming to the interview 9:35 when it's scheduled for 9:30, without a valid reason, there really ought to be no reason why you ought not to be present for that interview at least 5 minutes before. So we look at things like that as well. We want all-round students who are able to present themselves in a way that allows them to be selected for the scholarship. Because what we at VM Foundation realize is it's not all about grades. It's not all about grades. We want an individual that is likely to be seen in 3 years or 4 years' time from the start of your degree as a global citizen. We're looking for world citizens who can impact, who can make a statement, who at the end of their degree can fully represent a VM Foundation scholar. So in terms of putting yourself together for an interview, those are some of the things that I think you should be looking at. I see some questions coming up in the chat. Allow me to see if I can actually go through them. Okay, I think the first one, a concern for the VM Foundation when applying for the scholarship, the link is not working. So applicants who don't already have an account can't upload their documents. I'm not aware of that, Chelsea. The link to create an account is not working. As far as I know, the link to our site is actually working. The My Account page does not have a link to create an account. So you don't, so I would check that, but as far as I know, today is Thursday. We actually do a quick check-in every week to ensure that our web pages are functioning. Haven't had any complaints since. So if you do, please do write me. I'll give you my email. It's my first name dot last name at myvmgroup.com. Please let me know that you're having an issue. It's samantha.charles@myvmgroup.com. Would the STEM apply to postgraduate studies? And also, does the organization offer internships? So the second question, Anna Lee, we do offer internships. Again, it's the availability of the work to be done. So we don't just have people come in and then sit down at the desk. If it is that we require you, certainly as a scholarship, a scholarship recipient, we expect you to make yourself available. If we do ask you to come and say, see how an event operates, to come and help in an event, or if we require help, yes, we will call you in to do a short internship. Would the STEM apply to postgraduate studies? Clarify that for me. So postgraduate meaning master's or after master's, like a doctorate. If it's a doctorate, PhD, we don't offer scholarships for that. We only offer scholarships up to master's level. And I think I omitted to say under the master plan, it's not only for the last year of your undergraduate degree, but it is also if you are doing a master's degree as well. Good day. Can a VM wealth account suffice to apply for the scholarship? Good question, R. Jackson. I want to believe it can, but I will double check that and I will give that answer to David. Let me just write that down, but I'm almost sure it can. Well, R. Jackson, I'm not so sure what your first name is, but David, if I can get back to you on that, and I'll let them know if that can suffice for a scholarship as having a BMBS account. I'm almost sure it can, but let me be certain. Olufunke, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Is it possible to apply for 2 scholarships in the same year, such as the Future Plan and the STEM? No. 2 different people can apply, but 1 person cannot apply for a Future Plan and a STEM. The reality is if you fall into STEM, there's no need for you to apply for the Future Plan. And another thing too, what I found last year is a number of students did not apply for the right scholarship. Please, students, read on the website, so you're ensuring that you are applying for the correct scholarship. If you are in STEM or in one of the STEM areas, apply for the STEM scholarship. It's the same value as the Future Plan scholarship, but the Future Plan is really for, I guess, the non-STEM applicants. Thank you for putting my email in the chat. And Annalise says, yes, MSc Economics. If you are doing a master's, you can apply for the master plan. Good morning. I'm not so sure who wrote this one. Initials are MT. Can an applicant with another scholarship? Good question. So currently, we do not allow you to multi-apply to others. We really look at students who do not have access to other scholarships. And so the VM scholarship currently is not available with another scholarship from another institution. And I say currently because we really are looking at that. The reality is we don't want to be giving one person or allowing one person to get multiple scholarships from different institutions when there are some people who can't even get into one. When you apply for one at Victoria Mutual and then you get one from Jamaica Flour Mill and then you get one from Carreras, you have pretty much taken up 2 extra spaces for somebody else who could have applied for any one of the other companies. And so for now, we see it as fair balance. If you apply for a VM Foundation scholarship and you get that, you're not eligible to get the scholarship with another scholarship. You can't twin it with another scholarship. And really it's because, you know, there are few foundations who give scholarships and we really want to get everybody to get a fair chance. And so that's why it's pretty much like that in terms of the rules. And that's it for me. I don't see any more questions. I hope I was very helpful. You have my email. Feel free to reach out to me. The website is there. It's functioning. I will check that down. Let me just jot that down. The link to the scholarship site. I went in it this morning before I came here. I didn't have an issue going into it. So As far as I know, it's still functioning. And I'll give David an update on that as soon as I can find out. In fact, I'm going to take a photo of this comment so that I am fully aware from Chelsea. And Chelsea, we regret that you may have had an issue. So, but please do try to get on again. And if anything, you can write me and let me know. Thank you, David. Over to you.
Just before you go, so in case some persons might be a bit shy to ask this question, but in a nutshell, like students that want to really apply, how can you summarize the best thing for them to set up themselves to apply for one of these scholarships? So what are the things that really and truly you yourself sitting on the committee would look for and see a student and would say that, okay, this student is deserving of this scholarship?
Okay, so the first thing is to fill out the form properly. Read the instructions and fill out the form properly. If you're not doing that, it sends a message to us that you're not somebody who checks over, who cares, who has the level of responsibility to do the right thing. A simple form. If you can't fill out a form, it says a lot about you. The second thing is to come to the interview prepared. Prepared by doing your own research, knowing a little bit about the foundation, knowing a little bit about what you want to do. There are standard questions that get asked, you know, what you want to do, why you want to do it, how do you think you'll impact the world, why you think this will make a difference, those kinds of questions. The second thing is to come with your A game, come with a level of passion, come with a level of interest. Sometimes people come to the interview and they sit, yes, no, and you get a one-word one. You must come with some level of interest. It says a lot about you and your demeanor. If you can't come to an interview with a sense of pride, a sense of responsibility, a sense of earnestness, a sense of interested, being interested in what you're applying for, again, that says a lot about you. And we can see that through the Zoom link. We can see that online. We can see that through your personality. So I think for you, you bring your A game by being yourself, being authentic, bring your authentic, genuine self. You need to read the instructions and you need to do your own research. And I think I would add, you really need to be able to communicate. In other words, again, not sit there to answer one word. This is a conversation we're having. We're getting to know each other. You are selling yourself. So you need to do all that you need to do to sell yourself. You have your own brand. You need to bring your own authentic brand, your genuine self. Don't try to come and be somebody else because, oh, you're mimicking this person, bring your own. We can see through that too if you're not being yourself. And we really want authentic, genuine people who've done their research, who can communicate, who can answer questions intelligently and have a conversation. We don't need you to be long-winded, but we need you to answer questions intelligently. I hope that helps.
Yeah, man, definitely. And one more question just before you go. Like, having received a scholarship before, I know that the time period for the scholarship. So these 4 scholarships that you mentioned and what's applicable to university students, are these scholarships on an annual basis, a semester basis, or is just a one-time scholarship? So that's one thing. And then in addition to that, what can a student do to lose a scholarship? Like, what can happen? So if they got this scholarship and got another one, will they be at risk of losing this one? So what are certain things that students should avoid to maintain their scholarships and the period it lasts for?
Good question. So the first question, the scholarship period opens usually from about first, second week in April for about 8 weeks. So we take it right up to about June. So 2 months.
Oh, so it's still open now?
It is still open now, yes.
Okay.
In relation to your second question about losing a scholarship, when you get a VM scholarship, you are essentially a David Thomas, a VM ambassador. Okay. You have to look the part, play the part, represent. You are constantly representing VM. So we do not want anybody who is, obvious things like we don't want anybody who has been disciplined, at the verge of being thrown out, suspended. We don't want anybody alleged to be in any fraud. We are a financial institution. You could potentially be hired. We don't want anybody who is looking to go into those kinds of things, scams, schemes, etc. all of the things that would present a bad name to you and VM's reputation are the things that would see you losing that scholarship. And there are a myriad of things. I've only mentioned a few, but I think you can see where I'm going with that. You are representing the brand VM, and so we expect you to represent us very, very well. And as a financial institution, we have certain things and criteria that we have to meet, even from towards the BOJ, just presenting ourselves as a financial institution. We have to be seen as a credible, trustworthy institution. And so the individual has to represent all those characteristics also. Anything outside of that is likely to lose your scholarship.
And just to add to that, would a student be affected in any way if they got the scholarship and got another one, for instance? So would that affect anything for them?
I'm seeing a similar question here from Zoe Hendricks. What if you're accepted to another scholarship?
Oh, yeah.
To one of the VMBSs before you found out.
Yeah.
The fact is, if you have a VMBS scholarship, we do not allow you to have another scholarship with that scholarship. If you have a scholarship from Carrera Cement, other COSEPROD, say for instance, it doesn't make sense for you to apply. This is one of the questions we ask at the interviews. Do you have another scholarship in place?
Okay, and students should be honest with this, because we'll find out.
Sorry, David, Tika is asking, will every applicant get an interview? No, so everyone applies and we do shortlist. So that resume, as I was speaking about earlier, has to speak, show your achievements, and we are not looking for all A grades. We realize that does not have, we're looking for all rounders. So when you do your resume and attach that, it's very important for you to sell yourself.
Definitely. All right. So just gonna leave with, as Ms. Charles started with, is that your resume don't have to be long. It has to be impactful.
No, it shouldn't actually. We prefer the most 1.5. We really don't have time to be going through reads. That's another thing.
So once it's impactful.
Resume writing, you need to make it very succinct, but it's a skill, it's an art to ensure that you put what I think are the very important things that show the impact that you have made. You know, you might have done cashiering at Mother's, but then you went and did, say for instance, let me think of something impactful, something that's worthy. You might have worked somewhere else. The reality is maybe you keep that cashiering a little less, not to say it's not important, but maybe you want to show the impact of somewhere else that you work, where you impacted like 20 people there. You put a new recycling thing while you were in organization for a very short time. That will take precedence over your cashiering job, which is very important. Let me add, it teaches you certain skills, how to deal with people, how to deal with money, how to deal with your peers, not belittling a cashiering job. So just to try and show a distinction. And because you really only have 1.5 pages, we really don't want a resume to be long. So you have to start thinking about all the things that you've been doing, making a note of all the areas that you volunteered, that you have worked, that you have impacted whilst at school, doing your undergraduate degree, etc., doing a summer job. You have to think about it and be strategic as to what you put in and put on that paper. We don't want it long-winded, and we don't need to know that you've done like 10 different times cashiering at Mother's over 10 years.
and I'd like to mention, because I'm a VMFET ambassador myself, that the scholarship recipients also get, it's not just the money that you receive, you get the opportunity to interact with different professionals as a FET ambassador, and you have the FET ambassador program as well, that students can, from that, get some scholarships potentially. So it's not a one-to-one relationship, but it can show your character that the different programs that VM has going on can also help the students better themselves. So thank you again. I think we're just taking this final question, and then
yes, Tajan Alice Stewart said, will anyone who has ever failed but did a subject again and passed be disqualified? No, we won't disqualify you. Thanks for good pronunciation. I try. I don't like to butcher people's names. I try.
All right. So thank you, Samantha Charles. Thank you, and it's great to meet you.
You're welcome,
and
David.
We had different discussions. So the things that you guys posted and when she answers them, then you guys can definitely find it on our page and you guys can get some more information. So thank you for taking the time out from your busy
You are
day to come
welcome. Have
and
a
speak to
wonderful
us.
day, everyone, and good luck with your studies. I think some of you are probably all in exam time. Good, best of luck with your exams.
All right, thank you very, very much, and we'll definitely have further discussion.
You're welcome.
All right,
Bye,
take care.
everybody.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, so there you have it, where the CEO for the VM Foundation came and spoke to you guys about what it is that you really, really need to know. What is it that can help you guys to get those needed scholarships? So as mentioned, there are 4 major scholarships that VM offers. So you have the junior plan, which is open to 6th graders, students leaving from PEP going into high school. You have the future plan scholarship. So this is dealing with undergraduate students, students in colleges, students which are there, and this goes up to 450,000. So some of the requirements, you must have a VM account, you must have a status letter showing that you're a student, in what year that you are in, and these are some of the requirements for these scholarships. You also have the STEM scholarship, which is particularly directed to students in STEM, and we're talking about the sciences, the mathematics, the engineering. So those students in those particular fields, then we have the STEM scholarship for you, and this scholarship goes up to 450,000 as well. There's also mention of the master plan, and the master plan looks at persons or students in their final year, and it's also open to students in their master's program. So there was a question before asking about scholarships for master's students. This is a scholarship for master's students. You can get up to 450,000. The scholarship are out there. I think it's for first year of the masters. The scholarships is open. She said that it's open from April. It will finish sometime in June. So you can go on the VM website, look at these scholarships, look at the requirement for these scholarships. And I would say to everyone here, if you are in undergraduate, enter into your final year, you have the master plan you can apply for right now. If you're in your just finishing your first year, enter into your second year, then the future plan is definitely for you. If you're a STEM student, in whatever year that you're in, then apply for these scholarships. She sits on the committee. She will be someone she's the CEO of the foundation. So she's telling you guys what it is that you would definitely need to get this scholarship. So you need to show your need for the scholarships. You need to not be on any other scholarships, and then you need to represent yourself and by extension represent VM extremely well. So these are certain things that I think that right now you guys can go ahead and apply for, because the application process is still open and you guys can definitely get those things that you definitely need. Am I seeing any message? So there are certain things which wasn't mentioned. I think particular on the website, and if it's not on the website, then you guys can go ahead, and the email is definitely in the chat. That's Samantha.charles@myvmgroup.com. So for students which are in either full-time or part-time students, then you guys can have those clarification there, because that's something that we need to also look at. Sixth form students who complete just 1 year, 1 unit. So I'm not quite sure about the sixth form students. So based on what I heard from the presentation, the junior plan deals with students in primary school doing PEP, moving to high school. From the master plan, the future plan, and the STEM, those are dealing with persons I would assume already in university. So the future would deal with undergraduate students. I guess it's regardless of discipline, and the master would deal with final year. So these are some of the requirements of final year students only and postgraduate students for the master plan. So don't get it mixed up on a person who is in their final year applying for something else, and then you miss out on the scholarship. So look at these small requirements which make a big difference. And guys, also be honest, because what you don't want is if you accept it for one scholarship and then you go ahead and for this scholarship, then you end up losing out on these scholarships. If it's not known, then that would be something entirely different. But these are certain things you can get up to, as I mentioned, 450,000. And someone mentioned if you even feel a subject, that's not something that would definitely deem as disqualification for the scholarship. So you guys would definitely be good there. Not saying that anyone should fail their subject, but that's something that you don't have to worry about. And students, what can possibly cause you to lose a scholarship is not representing yourself well. And I would assume that if someone is in second year and then into final year, then you can go ahead and for this year apply for the future plan, and then next year in your final year apply for the master plan. And if you're going again for postgraduate, then you can also go ahead and apply again. All right. So thank you guys for listening, and I hope you guys learned something definitely from that session, because that session was definitely informative. So now what I would like to do is to move to our next presenter, and this presenter will be talking about finding scholarship that works for you. And this will be presented by Ms. Jada Powell, who is the co-founder of Scholarships Jamaica. So let me introduce to you Ms. Jada Powell. So Jada Powell is currently the Kingston Parish and National Champion for the NCB Foundation and the co-founder of Scholarship Jamaica. Owing to her intense research, developmental strategies, and persistence, she has been offered over $20 million Jamaican dollars in scholarship funds for both local and international universities. With her drive, knowledge, and expertise, she guides other under-resourced Jamaican youth in filling, applying, and securing the right scholarships based on the needs and areas of their study. Production-wise, Ms. Powell is responsible for amplifying the voice of Jamaican youths through her role as producer for the Talk Up Youth Jamaica show, where she's also the mastermind behind dubs written by persons such as Naomi Korn, Agent Sasko, and Yaska, and other artists. She has also extended her representation for her Sweet Island Jamaica on several occasions, and her most recent engagement landing her as a country delegate for the Caribbean Youth Leaders Summit held in Trinidad and Tobago, where along with other delegates, she presented and unearthed political solutions and sustainable strategies to allow young people to contribute and add value to global development. When she's not actively harmonizing words and finding sweet spots for creative and consulting endeavors, Ms. Powell is keen on exploring different cultures, perfecting her French, and eating as much pasta as she can. So hopefully that Ms. Powell is here, and I would like to invite Ms. Jada Powell to come and speak to you guys, where she is the co-founder of Scholarships Jamaica. So Ms. Jada Powell, I'll now hand over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that introduction, David. I do appreciate it. Today, I will be speaking on how to find the perfect scholarships. I will also be giving insights on how to perfect your application, right? I'll be touching on a few things and helping you really to zone in on getting everything. So recently, I was speaking with an administrator of a very well-known scholarship organization, and she mentioned that last year and several years prior, there has been a significant reduction in the quality of scholarship applications. I strongly believe that this may be because persons are not researching enough. They're not personalizing their application to suit the respective organizations, which is what really differentiates you from the other candidates. In finding the perfect scholarship, I strongly advise students to do a few things. And firstly, I would say, as simple as it sounds, you should define your goals and interests. Apart from the obvious reason of receiving funds, ask yourself, why am I applying for a scholarship and why this specific scholarship? By identifying your academic and career goals, as well as your areas of interest. You narrow down on the types of scholarships you should focus on, as well as the fields you should explore. Once you've done all that, just ensure that you're actively researching scholarship opportunities, as there are a number of wide scholarships. Burger King, CBC, Barito, who in fact just opened their scholarship today. There are also lesser known scholarships from organizations such as the Rita Marley Foundation, which has specific scholarships for girls in Jamaica. To put into perspective, the NCB Foundation has just niched down, focusing more on careers within the digital fields, such as cybersecurity. Knowing this information will help you to, okay, I want to become a data analyst, which scholarship is perfect for me. While there are general scholarships out there, it's also good that you explore the ones that are specific to what you want to do. Of course, you can utilize other resources to explore the different scholarships available. You may check various websites such as the Jamaican government's official scholarship portal, Edufocal, JTech, Scholarships Jamaica, which provide a complete and comprehensive list of scholarships available. Also, the Gleaner has announced today that they will be releasing their annual scholarships to go database in today's paper. Another source is the universities and colleges themselves. For example, UWI offers their own faculty and general scholarships for students. And from time to time, they'll do different campaigns, such as the I Choose UWI campaign, which I worked on a few weeks ago. So you have to be on the lookout using these various platforms. And it goes without saying you can use social media. Ensure you're keeping up with the latest updates from scholarship-related accounts, such as on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, you know, the usual. And often they share information about the available scholarships, the deadlines, and if there are any possible extensions. Some of these pages include Scholarship Jamaica, All About Scholarships, as well as the Ministry of Education. Okay, so you now have a list of different scholarships that you can apply for using the resources I mentioned. But it makes no sense that you have all of these scholarships and you're not applying. So what I would seriously recommend is that you go through the eligibility requirements for each scholarship, because they're all different. There's some scholarships that mainly focus rather on great grades, but there's some that require you to be a part of a specific program, whether that's football, or there's some that requires you to be bonded to Jamaica, which simply means that after you have done your there are Jamaica for a set period of years. If you're not quite certain about some requirements, ensure that you will get in contact with the scholarship providers, preferably at least a week in advance of the deadline, and bombastic side eye to anyone that waits the night before the scholarship email. Guys, do not do that. Another important step in finding the perfect scholarship is ensuring that your application is as perfect as can be. Be sure to prepare the necessary documents in advance. This should include your grades, your certificates, any awards you have received, and recommendation letters, your voluntary hours, and I also recommend a base scholarship letter. For your base scholarship letter, I state that it should be about 300 to 500 words, and it should be a general statement of why you'd be a good candidate for an award. It should include your upbringing and your plans for the future and why you will decide to do this specific career path. Needless to say, the letter should be revised for each scholarship that you decide to apply for. So your scholarship letter for Grace won't do the same as for Barito, because there are two different foundations that focus on different aspects when they're asking for applicants to apply. So based on the prompt, you should also consider what you should change in your base letter for the different scholarships. Most scholarships require specific documents during the application process. These may include, as I mentioned, your academic transcripts, your recommendation letters, personal statements or essays, proof of financial need, and copies of identification. Ensure that you collect all of these documents in advance and avoid any last minute rush. Because one thing I can say for certain, when you wait until last minute, the site crashes because everybody is trying to apply at the last minute. There's so many things that can happen. So try and ensure that you apply as early as possible, and also follow up on your application. Call, hey, I just sent my resume, I just sent my application. Have you received it? You can also send an email, like a friend email, and just state that you have applied and you are looking forward to their response. You're looking forward to speaking more about your application in an interview. That's a nice way of stating, okay, I know I'm a good candidate for this scholarship and I look forward to the next step. Another thing I would say is seek guidance from mentors and persons that do scholarship consultation like myself. So whether that be your teachers, your counselors, or your mentors who can provide guidance throughout the application process. So they can help you to review your application materials, help edit your essays, offer valuable feedback, and assist with any additional resources or opportunities. Ensure that before you send, polish your application materials, craft the most compelling personal statement essay. Now, in writing your personal essay, ensure, and I always like to say, use a motif. So whether you're going to use Cinderella or Candy Crush, where you beat the different levels, try and have a fun way of bringing out who you are and bringing out your personality. So if you're a guy and you love Call of Duty, find some way of bringing across your personality and also your need in the letter. Because remember, persons are sitting down, they're humans, sitting down, reading hundreds, if not thousands of essays. Like the NCB Foundation, they receive on average about 10,000 applications each year. So when you differentiate yourself, which is why it's important to do your research in finding the perfect scholarship, you will know how best to approach your application. Also, ensure to really boost yourself, big up yourself in your essay. To your essay, you should also ensure that your grammar, your overall spelling, and everything is concise. As the VM Foundation representative just mentioned, simple things such as how you fill out the form says a lot about you. So as I mentioned, try not to apply last minute, because when you apply last minute, you don't get a chance to look over and read through and add any additional touches. Also, as I mentioned, get feedback from trusted individuals. This will help to enhance the quality of your applications. Submit your application on time and carefully note the deadline for each scholarship and submit it well before the due date. Most times, what they do is close the portal, so late submissions aren't even seen, right? Now, the second step is preparing for the interview. Now you have perfected a list, you have perfected your application base, you have perfected everything that you have so far. The next thing is preparing for the interview. That's literally them saying, okay, we see your potential, you are a possible fit for our scholarship, and we want to find out more about your personality. So in preparing for your interview, please, I would assume that you have done some research on a company. As a VM Foundation representative just said as well, they usually ask the same set of questions each year. Why do you want the scholarship? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? Why are you pursuing the degree that you are pursuing? Very general questions. However, it is up to you to put your own personal information in it. So whether it is that your granny grew you up and you want to ensure that you give her the life that she deserves or anything of that sort, ensure that you even rehearse, even though when you go into the interview, you want to sound as natural as possible, but you also want to have an idea of what to say based on the specific questions. As I said, they normally, like CXC exams, like CAPE exams, reuse the same information each year. And for the scholarship interview process, ensure that you are aware of the top heads for the foundation. So whether it is Mrs. Nadine Matthews Blair for NCB or anyone for Grace Kennedy, like a Don Webby, ensure that you know persons that you're going to speak to so that it is more personalized. Mr. Webby, Mrs. Nadine Matthews Blair, you should be able to connect with them on a different level in your interview, because that's how you show that you are different from other candidates and that you deserve the scholarship. That's really what I have so far. If there are any questions, I've left enough time for anyone to ask any questions. Feel free to go ahead.
Thank you very much, Ms. Powell. So you mentioned about how persons can find the right scholarship for them.
Yes.
So in your line of work or from what you've experienced, what are certain common mistakes that students often make that causes them to miss out on their scholarship? So what are certain things that oftentimes students make as a mistake? You mentioned one about applying last minute, which they can be qualified and they can do everything, but the timing of that application causes them to miss out. So what are some of the other things which you've seen where students should avoid so that they can get these scholarships and get these opportunities on time?
Okay, so as I would have mentioned, having simple errors in your essays, not being as specific enough as to why you need the scholarship, because past funding, why is it important that you get the scholarship? Is it because you are a first generation scholarship applicant? Also, I realize that a lot of persons, they tend not to do enough research on the company, because usually for applying for scholarships, when you are writing your essay, it helps knowing that, okay, this company is more focused on volunteerism. So if you have done volunteer hours, it's crucial for you to put that in your essay. Put a little bit more of that in your essay than anything else. So some research has to be in it. Some play on words of even their slogan. So whether that is the VM Foundation, Grace Foundation, they have their different slogans for the different foundations. Find some way to intertwine that in your essay. That is different. Another thing I have found is that persons don't follow up. For me, I think that has made a big difference in me getting scholarships, because I try and send emails, I try and call ahead and let them know, because as I said, there are hundreds of different scholarship applicants each year. Another thing that persons fall short on is not even applying for the scholarships themselves, right? There are a lot of scholarships, as the VM Foundation representative said again, that just aren't, that don't get enough applicants. And because of that, they give it to, I wouldn't want to say the best of the worst, but they try and find the best of what they have. So don't shy away from an opportunity. I find that most persons are thinking that scholarships are only based if you're extremely smart, but that isn't always the case. If you are a part of Key Club, or you are a part of football or anything, there are some scholarships specifically based on you doing math, specifically based on you doing IT or anything of that sort. As I said, research goes really handy in applying for scholarships.
Thanks for that. And just one more thing, because we're gonna have a Q&A after this, so I hope you can stick around for some other questions. In the bio I read, you have been offered over 20 million JMD in scholarship for both local and overseas universities. So what are some of the possibilities that you have seen for students out here to get overseas applications, and how is that much scholarships, I mean, and how is that similar, different entirely for the process locally?
Okay, so there are two avenues or two general avenues, I believe. There's one that you have to do your SATs. There are some colleges and universities overseas that is the only way to enter into their school. So you would have started the SAT process, done your exams, and then apply along with your different personal essays, your different academic achievements, and so forth. Some though do accept CAPE results, and they are fine with just that. So I have found that in applying for international universities specifically, there are some that are more merit-based. That is, they look for your financial need and how especially you have given back to your country, because that states that you are willing to occupy different leadership roles while in their school. So they are very particular about what you are in Jamaica. They're particular about have accomplished within even looking. So for example, become a veteran, you volunteers, yes, people with the dogs and the cats, and whatever the case may be, they're looking to very specific things. And then I've recognized is you have some scholarships. So even though they have broader scholarships, say for example, an academic scholarship, national scholarship, they do have several grants on their website that you can apply to. So these grants, you would have to apply for separately than your general application for the school. And that can reduce your scholarship, no, really reduce rather your tuition. So for example, I have applied for different scholarships for my leadership roles while I was at St. Andrew High. And just by doing that, I would have gotten an additional $4,000 towards my tuition. So there are various instances where you can get additional money, however, some of them aren't as advertised as others.
Okay, well, that's some valuable insight. So persons, you've heard where you can get money from overseas to finance yourself, and you yourself can get opportunities to further your educational endeavors. So Ms. Jada Powell, I want to thank you for presenting on the various ways in which a person can apply for the right scholarship for them. And as I mentioned, that we're going to have a Q&A later on after the presentation.
Okay.
So persons that have questions for that segment, please feel free to ask your questions. So thank you again, Ms. Powell, and we'll.
David,
Yeah, man,
sorry,
no
before I
problem.
leave, I must that the different embassies, such as Japan, especially, or even China, they also have their scholarships that would allow you to go to any school within their country. So also check the different embassies for the different countries that you're looking towards. So that's another avenue.
Okay. So hear that, guys. So we have the embassies that you guys can reach out. And one thing that you mentioned that is quite important and persons don't often do is the follow-up. So a lot of persons feel that you apply and then the company reach out to you, etc., etc. Like, guys, it's your scholarship that you want to get. So you have to show some amount of initiative and some amount of need that you want the scholarship, and that in and of itself can show that you really want it. So sometimes reaching out can actually help you guys to get your scholarship that you need. All right. So
Most definitely.
thanks again, Ms. Jada Powell, for coming and speaking to us. And we're sure that some persons later on, if they do have questions, you'll be happy to answer that question. Right. So guys, for guys hearing me, hopefully they're hearing me. Guys hear me? Is anyone hearing me? Okay, okay, good. All right, so guys, that was Jada Powell. She was from Scholarship Jamaica, and as said, she has handled over 20 million in both local and overseas scholarships. So these are certain opportunities where you can go ahead and get these needed scholarships. We've been here and we've been talking about Scholarship Weekend, we've been talking about Scholarship Week, but what exactly is this? And I'm now glad to introduce just shortly to talk about the purpose and benefit of Scholarship Weekend. So I'd like to just open the floor up to Mr. Jamel Brown, who basically had this idea to say what he wanted to bring about for the students to learn about Scholarship Week. He started the initiative last year, which we had the first staging of Scholarship Week. And again, he's on board to see the completion of Scholarship Weekend 2023. So for us here today, for persons that's the first time joining, for persons that may want to know what exactly is the purpose, what exactly is the benefit of this session that we're having, I would like to bring forward to just talk a little bit about that. Then we can get into our next presenter. I'd like to present Mr. Jamel Brown to talk about what his idea is and what is the benefit and purpose of this Scholarship Weekend. Jamel, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Good day, everyone. My name is Jamel Brown. I was last year a student representative over the Commuting Students Committee. And this event was created out of my passion of helping other students on campus, born shortly after creating the opportunity of Commuting's opportunity of to help students really offset certain costs at university, because I would have gone to university debt-free without paying a dime. So I would have acquired up to $1 million in scholarships, grants, and subsidies that would have accommodated me over the past 3 years being at UWI. And in the effort of doing that, I would have something to help you offset situation, but they never say I said no, because in Jamaica, I had the special privilege of meeting Miss Iman, which she was a scholarship coach. And she would have gave me all know-hows, all the tips, all the suggestions, and different strategies and approaches to secure the different scholarships, from needs-based scholarships such as JMMD to academic scholarships such as NCB. So I would have to know how to narrow where to find scholarships, how to build my brand, because it's not about me just getting the money, because certain companies want you to represent them in something that is really great. Whether you're a student leader, whether you're very involved, it's not just focused on academics. And I said, oh, I'm going to help persons on campus to really get these costs together. First, I started with the first event, which was know how to finance your tertiary education. Then I said I wanted it to know focus on scholarships only, not just SLB or not just jobs or just scholarship. It never been done before in Jamaica, never by the government, never by anyone in Jamaica. So I pitched the idea and said, I really want about scholarships and breaking down easy idea at first with a PhD man and also Miss Christina Dovarty, and they pushed me and supported me on this journey to doing this event. I know this event is a success last year. I know coming today and seeing the amount of persons in the Zoom getting involved and want to know how to secure scholarships really showed me that I'm having impact and not just my life, but other person's lives, and how they can go about and get scholarships to offset their costs. Because I know what it feels like. I'm coming from a situation that is not ideal, and you have to work, you have to get a job or get something to offset the cost. So I'm showing you another way, or the strategies or approaches that wasn't shown before. So you can get the right tools, the right instruments to get to these scholarships, because it is possible. It is possible to get scholarships from UWI and different organizations in Jamaica. And grateful for all of you to be here today, and I hope you enjoyed today's session.
Thank you very, very much for that, Jamel. So as Jamel mentioned, out of the passion that he has and saw that the gap that lies between students, and he himself finding that you can go to university without picking up a dime or taking a dime out of your pocket. He wanted to share that as well with you persons here, to say that if I can secure over $1 million in scholarships by just applying myself and finding these small avenues, then why is it that a lot of students are having so much difficulties? And he decided that going to create the opportunity hub, create different ways in which to get students to go out and basically get the benefits that he's getting as well. And it's not something that's hidden. It's just certain times persons don't have the opportunity. And by doing sessions like these and having programs like these, we're trying to get students open up to these different possibilities and to go to university without any payment from yourself, but based on the merit of your hard work and dedication, you guys can finance yourself individually, and you can also be good from that. Will Jada go? So Jamel and Jada and the other speakers, again, we're just gonna have a short Q&A after all the speakers, so that persons can just hear about what is it that they want to ask, because it may be that someone may have more than one question. So we're just gonna wait until the presenters finish, then we can just have a short Q&A. Okay, guys, so next we're gonna talk about finding an overseas scholarship while bringing awareness about your organization, database, and book. And to talk about that is Miss Kenisha Henry, and she is the founder of All About Scholarships. So let me tell you a little bit about Miss Henry. Just a sec. So Miss Kenisha Henry is a God-fearing student who is passionate about empowering youth, spreading the knowledge of youth opportunities, and finds joy in dedicating her time to serve others. Before leaving high school in 2020, Kenisha and her co-founder Delmar Square found All About Scholarships, and in the same year, Kenisha received the NCB Foundation Scholarship, was named a champion for the scholarship, which granted her over 600,000 Jamaican dollars annually towards her education. Since then, Ms. Henry has worked with Mr. Square and her team to expand the research of All About Scholarships initiative by hosting a myriad of workshops, creating free resources such as scholarship guide and scholarship database to help students navigate the scholarship application process. Ms. Henry believes that she is called to serve and impact youth for the same reason, not only act in the capacity of co-founder for this initiative, but is also the Queen's Commonwealth Trust member, a past youth parliamentarian, and a project manager for the UWI Mona Guild EAC, which is External Affairs Commission. Her mantra is pray, prepare, and execute excellently. I now welcome to bring greetings and to speak to you guys, Miss Kenisha Henry from All About Scholarships.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I hope we are all ready and excited to dive into this presentation. I truly am. And if you're here let me see you drop some fire in the chat because the presentation is going to be hot enough. Some fire emojis. We fall asleep?
They're here, man. They're here.
They're here. I don't know. Maybe they roll over. Maybe the phone is too far, but hopefully, all right, Brittany's sending the fire. We're sending the fire. You can't use the fire emoji, but yes, man, the presentation is going to be hot. And if you haven't already, let me tell you, go ahead and pull up your notes app, go ahead and pull up a book or something or just be prepared to screenshot because I'm going to be sharing a presentation and I want you guys to catch the nuggets. If you can't hear my voice or if you can't write or type fast enough, at least be able to grab a quick screenshot. So let me pull up my screen. Hold on. So today, we will be discussing the search for funding, where to look. And David had said for overseas scholarships, but this presentation is for scholarships in general. Overseas and Jamaica have a lot in common, but I'm going to show you guys the general places to look for them. And you guys can apply it accordingly to your situation. And I'm sure a lot of us here are UWI students, am I correct? Because it's a UWI thing. But I'm pretty sure that a UWI friend send a UCC and a UTech and somebody else the link, and you're here and you're ready to learn. Dejonique, are you going to say something? Oh, no, she's not. All right, so the search for funding, where to look. So we'll be talking about, all about scholarships. I am the co-founder with starting the search for scholarships, scholarship opportunities, and other resources and services. So All About Scholarships is as David already shared, is a organization that was founded when we realized that a lot of students needed help, but they didn't know where exactly to go. We started in 2020 and we'll be going this year, this Saturday, will be our 3rd year anniversary. And we started from WhatsApp groups, and some of you guys may be in our WhatsApp groups. We started from there and then we branched off into a myriad of other things. We focus on helping students with the search, application, and interview process. And, we've been doing that. So before you even start the search, guys, here are some things that you need to do to make sure that your headspace is in order. I'm a person who loves order. And I want you guys to be organized as well. So set goals that can be accomplished with the aid of a scholarship. Let this serve as a motivation. A lot of times we come and we say, oh my gosh, I have this big fee that I want to pay off, or I know I want to go to Yale, or I know I want to go to UWI, and it's X amount of money and it's scary, but I need to apply for some scholarships. And you're just intimidated by the whole process. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna, let's, get a book or a journal, or you can even create a document or an Excel to record all the scholarships and the criteria, if you want to put the criteria in there. Even if you aren't sure that you'll be studying at a specific degree. So for example, you are not sure that you want to do engineering or you want to do medicine or you want to do whatever. Let's just start by having a book that you can record everything in, right? And then with your expenses as a guide. So after you sit down and you say, okay, for me to study here, I'm going to need housing, I'm going to need tuition, and then other things can figure out itself. You need to, write down all of that. After you make your expenses, your budget or so forth, use it as a guide for you to pick which scholarships that you definitely want to apply for. You want to apply for the big ones and you also want to apply for the small ones, but you want to know how much money you actually need, right? So you can apply for everything and don't under apply, right? So when you're searching for scholarships, you need to figure out who you are. So I know I'm a final year biochemistry student, and what are the prospects for me? What do you want to do? Sometimes before we go off to college or to university or anywhere, we say, okay, I want to study this, but I'm not sure. I want to study that, but I'm not sure. But a lot of the scholarships are very specific to what you want to study. So you have to make up your mind. Who are you now? Who do you want to be? And how can this apply to scholarships that you are looking for? And how does scholarships? So here are some of the things that you're gonna have to match when you're applying for scholarships. So each scholarship has a different criteria list. They have a different list of things that you need to match in order for you to qualify as somebody that is eligible for the scholarship. Some scholarships have less and some scholarships have more, but generally, some scholarships appeal to a certain field of interest. So are you doing engineering? Are you doing biochemistry? Are you doing law? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? There's to that. And you're thinking, figure out who you are and what kind of scholarships you can apply for. I haven't told you where to look yet, but we're just trying to figure out who you are first. Then demographics. There are certain scholarships that apply to certain demographics of people. Example, if you're going overseas, and you're a Black person from the Caribbean, and you are from a low-income background, etc., there more than likely there's a scholarship that is specifically targeted towards Afro-Caribbeans who are from low-income backgrounds, minority scholarships and stuff like that. So, you know, sometimes you would want to start your search with that, minority scholarships for Afro-Caribbeans and so forth, but you know, demographics. In Jamaica as well, there are certain scholarships that apply to certain groups of people. Let's say, for example, group of people who are from Manchester or St. Anne or St. Mary. There's a St. Mary scholarship open right now, and for persons from St. Mary and so forth. Nationality. There are scholarships that are applied to persons specific from Jamaica or from another country. And earlier, Jada had mentioned that when you're applying to certain schools overseas, for example, the Chinese embassy, they have scholarships specific for Jamaicans. They might not have that same scholarship for Mexicans. They might not have that same scholarship for persons from Nigeria. It's for Jamaicans. So your nationality, you know, you need to figure that out. Leadership qualities, you need to have that, you need to know if that scholarship requires you to have these things, because that's always an advantage. Financial need. You have need-based scholarships and you have merit-based scholarships. Need-based scholarships are for persons who are from low financial backgrounds, and your parents can't really afford to do it, or you can't really afford to do the studies. And so they prioritize persons who are from that economic background. Merit-based scholarships, on the other hand, can also consider your financial need, but they also pay a lot of attention to your grades, your GPA, how well you're doing in school, CXC or CAPE if you're just coming out of high school, etc. But honestly, once you pass high school, most times they don't look at your CXC and CAPE, but you can still send them. And employment status. Are you a part of the institution? Are you a child of somebody who works in the institution and so forth? For example, Sandals has a scholarship specifically for persons who work there, and the children of persons from Sandals can also benefit from that. So find out if your parents' workplace have a scholarship. Yeah. Banks and credit unions. A lot of banks in Jamaica, Sagicor, VM, I don't want to say Scotia, and any bank that you have, literally any bank that you have, they're more than likely going to have a scholarship. And by you being a member, you already have one foot in the door for that scholarship. So check that out as well. And involvements in clubs and societies. Are you involved in 4-H? Are you involved in Rotaract? Do you volunteer a lot and stuff like that? And I already mentioned the grades. And I should also know, you should also note that starting a scholarship research early, while right now is not really early, you're still in the beginning of all the releases. Starting early and becoming familiar with the contents of the criteria can allow you to put yourself in the position to be a beneficiary of the scholarships, or to at least be eligible to apply. So we're over to the real meat of the matter. We're at the patty, the middle of the burger. This is where we're at. So where to look? And you can take a screenshot here, guys. I'm giving you a second one. Yeah, that's the second. And so when you are looking for scholarships, these are some of the general places that you can look locally and internationally. And for UWI students, I have the Office of Student Financing. And the Office of Student Financing, they're going to present today. And I want you guys to pay much attention to what they're saying. The Office of Student Financing, they have a lot of opportunities for students, both for tuition, for food, everything. They have thought of you guys, and they have everything that you're looking for. You just need to go there. I'm aware that there are not enough applicants every year to scholarships that are provided to the Office of Student Financing. And for UWI students, this is your number one place. This is the office that you should know like the back of your hand. Foundations, there are a lot of foundations in Jamaica, and the Pocket Rocket Foundation specifically focuses on athletes. So that's another, for anything that has a foundation at the end of its name, that's somewhere that you can seek out and find scholarships. Companies, inquire about, as I said earlier, scholarships that are at your parents' workplace or your neighbor's workplace. Like if you can think of a company, especially if they have a lot of ties in Jamaica, find out if they have a scholarship, find out if they have a bursary, find out if they just give back to students who are in school. Because a lot of these companies, they might not say it publicly, they might not have a scholarship that they launch every year and it's big, but they're willing to give back, especially if you are somebody that lives within the region of their community. And for example, I'll leave that example for later. So you can also check the government websites, and all of these that I'm sharing, these apply to overseas as well. Overseas companies, Coca-Cola, Colgate, I think Colgate falls under Coca-Cola. Any company that you can think of from the US or from any country that you're going to, especially if that company aligns with what you're going to study, reach out to them via email, find them number or something, and you call them and you find out if they have this. And if you spoke to the person at the front desk and they're not sure, speak with HR, call somebody. You need to investigate. When you're searching for scholarships, you have to really put in the work, especially if the company doesn't advertise it upfront. So government / ministry websites. So the Ministry of Education, I think most of us would be familiar with the large amount of scholarships that the Ministry of Education goes out of their way to make public every year. But did you also know that the Ministry of Finance has some scholarships as well? And bursaries and grants. When I was in high school, I benefited from the social intervention program grant that they have. Once you're a student, once you're in good standing, you can apply to the Ministry of Finance, and the Kingston branch is on the same street as Kingston College. I will try to remember the name of the branch, the name of the street. And you go there, you just tell them that you're here to talk about this social intervention program. You can give them a call. They'll send you up to the office and you'll be sorted out once you're in good standing with your school. Banks and credit unions, we already mentioned that. Once you have a bank account, find out if your bank has a scholarship and find out if you can benefit from it. And also query again, community organizations. If you're a part of a church, a Seventh-day Adventist church, a Moravian church, a Church of God, any of those churches, go to your pastor, call your conference leaders and ask if they are willing to assist students, if they have scholarships, if they have grants, or if there's just some kind soul who's willing to give you money when you're coming to university. When I was starting university, before I was awarded my scholarship, I reached out to my pastor. I go to a Seventh-day Adventist church and I was like, Pastor, I don't have any money. I need to start UWI September, help. And he reached out to people and they pulled together some of the money. And I turned out I never bothered to use it. I got more than enough to go to school and I gave that money to somebody else who needed it to fund their education for the year. And so there are generous people, especially in the church, ladies and gentlemen. If you go to church, if you don't go to church, that's fine. If you're a part of a club, then there's chances are your club has some source of funding, especially if it's a club that gives back, a service club. Ask a member of parliament as well. The member of parliament is allocated an education fund every single year. And all you have to do, call his office and inquire about it, and then let him know you're going to send an email, him or her, that you're going to send an email stating that you'd like to benefit from it and you're in good standing with your school, etc., etc. And you can benefit from that. I know people who benefited from that. And I'm telling you guys all of these because these are all the routes that I went down to get funding before I got a scholarship. And a university scholarship. And there's also the Guild. For UWI students, the Guild has a lot of grants, not necessarily scholarship, but they have a lot of grants. Parts of the Guild have different funding initiatives that they use to help students, especially around exam time. And I believe this year the VP SSP had one. And so you just need to follow up with your Guild or inquire with somebody in the Guild, especially in the middle of the year, to find out what's going on with that. And your high school or your UWI alumni body, they also are very generous people, especially if you went to those schools with strong alumni bodies in high school. They're generous people. You just need to reach out to the head of your alumni, reach out to your school principal, somebody that you remember, and try to get in touch with your alum, and then they can assist you. Also, when you're going overseas, and this is for if you're going, if this is also for if you're going overseas. If you're going overseas, I have two friends who ended up going to the University of Mississippi, and they had old boys from that school. They're Jamaican, and they had old boys who were Jamaican help them fund their education because they reached out. Listen, people are willing to help you. You just need to reach out. You just have to be, you have to show that you have the interest, and people will help you. I'm telling you. Embassies, as mentioned earlier, a lot of the embassies have scholarships. Japan, Mexico, Cuba, US Embassy has one as well, especially for postgrad students. And Korea, Serbia, Germany doesn't have an embassy scholarship, but they have a website called DAAD. It's a German phrase. I can't remember the exact name, but it's a national website where they provide scholarships. So a lot of these first world countries, a lot of these countries that you want to go to study, they have programs for you guys. They do. And if they don't, if the embassies don't, or if the government doesn't, then a lot of the companies within them do. And so you just need to find the companies, especially if they align with what you want to study, and query. And then here are some of the online sources. For social media, you can follow Scholarship Jamaica. They are an amazing page. They've been around for 10 years, and they post a lot of the scholarships that come up. As soon as they're posted, they're on Scholarship Jamaica. Same with All About Scholarships, where I'm from. We have been around for 3 years, and we have workshops and everything, and we post the scholarships as well, and we let and we have WhatsApp groups to talk to the students. We network with the students and create this community for students to really just discuss scholarships. Imagine, it's like a LinkedIn for scholarships. And so we have that. JTech MOE, JTech also has a lot of workshops. Yes, Shana Hastings posted some of the links in the chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So that's the first one was OSF, and the second one was Ministry of Education. So Youth Jamaica is also a good page. JTech is Jamaica Tertiary Education Commission. They do a lot of work to sensitize young people about scholarships, especially at the tertiary level. And then these are the websites. Shana is sending some of them in the chat. Jamaica, Scholarship Jamaica, the TSAP one is the ministry. They have a lot of scholarships, guys. They're waiting for you. And as mentioned before, these people want you to apply. The scholarships are wasting if you don't go. Apply, guys. Ministry of Finance also has scholarships, and they have some scholarships for overseas studies as well. So check them out. And Youth Jamaica, GoJamaica.com. Go Jamaica is the Gleaner. The Gleaner, every year they publish like a pamphlet, a digital pamphlet. And if you buy a Gleaner today as well, because it's today that they have it available, if you buy a Gleaner outside, if you leave this session, well, after this session is over and you leave and you go and you buy one, you can get the scholarship pamphlet for all the scholarships that are going to be open and for testimonials and stuff like that. And they also have a digital one. I'm not sure if the digital one is available yet, but they have that. So All About Scholarships, we also have a scholarship database. And let me share this link with y'all. I'll share that link with you guys after. So let me share. We have a scholarship database that we offer to everybody for free, because we know what it's like to be looking everywhere and not knowing where to find the stuff. And not only do we have a scholarship database. Davian bought one today. Davian is up to the time. Yes, Davian. Not only do we have a scholarship database, we also have a scholarship guide. So for this presentation, it not only walks you through where to look for scholarships, but writing a proper essay and preparing for your interview and what to expect and this and that. And that's where you can, this is a link. You guys can sign up for it and we will send it to you guys. Just fill up this link that I just sent in the chat and you can get access to it. This is just general information for if you're looking for scholarships here in Jamaica or anywhere really, because this can be applied in Trinidad. You can ask your ministry representatives for assistance and so forth. And no worries, Ines, you can reach out to us. You can, fill out this form and we can provide you with some tailored assistance. And so our past events, all about scholarships, for the past couple of years, we've been doing these sessions where we just provide information. And now we're going into one-on-one essay reviews, personalized scholarship search. Usually we just do workshops with persons, on a grand scheme, but now we want to give you individualized assistance from, and again, one-on-one assistance from a member of our team of 20 plus scholarship recipients. So it's not just me alone. It's not just Delmar. We have over 20 persons who are scholarship recipients, multiple scholarship recipients, and they're just ready and willing to help you. And we've also branched off into J1 assistance, because a lot of persons, they get the scholarship money, but they still want some extra money, and we want to be able to help you find an agency and also find financial assistance if you need to use that to get an agency. And for some persons, they might say, for example, do med and they get all the scholarships that they want, but they still want to go to student loan route. We offer assistance with that. So the key to realizing a dream is to focus not on the success, but significance. And then even the small steps and the little victories along your path will take on greater meaning. So thank you guys so much for paying attention. I know I went really fast. I hope you guys took screenshots. I hope you guys signed up for the resources that we have. And if you need any assistance, you can scan this, follow us on Instagram, reach out to us on Instagram via email, and we will definitely make ourselves available to assist you. Thank you so much.
Wow. Well, that was a good presentation. A lot of information shared there. So I just want to say thanks, Miss Henry, for presenting that. A lot of things was definitely presented, and a lot of opportunities for you, the various students, to participate in. So she mentioned about the application process, the type of things which are out there. She also mentioned how you can gain access to these different scholarships which are out there. So the links are there as well. So if you guys have your question, please save them up, because we have one more presenter. And then after that, then the floor is open to all three presenters, which would be Ms. Jada Powell, Kenisha Henry, and the next presenter here. So have your questions, which you guys, if you need some more information on something, then have those ready. All right. So the next presenter that I would like to come on would be from the university itself. So as we know, guys, at the university, we have a Office of Student Financing, and this office generally is responsible for helping you guys or helping students to finance their tertiary education. So they provide a myriad of activities, a lot of services, a lot of assistance for students, and a lot of these things are not realized, are not utilized by the students. And so we want students to utilize this space. The office is there for you guys to take advantage of. The bursaries are there, the scholarships are there, and opportunities are there to which you can help ease some of the financial burden through meal grants, to meal cards, whatever the case is. These are certain little things that the university have in place for you guys to have full advantage and to take full advantage of. So I'd like to now introduce or to welcome to come and speak Miss Shauna Hastings Edwards, who is the manager for the student services, or sorry, for the services offered by the Office of Student Financing. So she's the manager for the Office of Student Financing, and I'd like for her to come and speak a bit on what the office is about, the things that the office offer, and for you guys to learn more about what the university has in place for you as students. So without any further ado, Ms. Shauna Hastings Edwards can come and talk to you guys. Ms. Edwards, over to you.
Thank you, David. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here this afternoon and to be able to share with you. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you. Can go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Now, the Office of Student Financing provides assistance to registered undergraduate students, and I'm highlighting that because I recognize some students had questions about postgraduate scholarships. Unfortunately, I will not be able to address that because we strictly deal with our undergraduate students, right? Now, when we think about tertiary education, it's not just about tuition, as some of the other presenters have said. There are various costs. You have the tuition, hall fees, rent if you live off campus, books, meals, equipment for a lab, and other things that you have to do on campus, depending on whether you're in the Faculty of Medical Sciences or you're in the Faculty of Science and Tech. There's also transportation if you live off campus. And that is just the direct expenses relating to attending school. Now, we know that it is extremely burdensome to fund all of these expenses for some students, and therefore the university has the Office of Student Financing in place to assist our undergraduate students along their journey. Now, there are many services that we provide. I will only highlight some of them, but go detail into scholarships and bursaries. So we administer scholarships and bursaries, as well as general financial assistance, which I will expound on later. We also administer students' loan waivers and tuition adjustments on behalf of our students. We liaise with the Students' Loan Bureau for our students. And also one of the major things that we process is the PATH bursary, which I will discuss further. Ms. Powell and Ms. Charles mentioned some of the issues that are faced in terms of students accessing scholarship. And I just want to speak about 3 pointers that we have for our students. Keep abreast of what is happening as you go through your university life. The University of the West Indies, Mona, has so many opportunities for students, but sometimes they're not taken up because students have the wrong information, they rely on information from friends, or just the simple fear of reaching out and not getting the response that you want. But if you try for something and you don't get it, you would have lost nothing. However, if you try for it and you get it, then you're all the better off. So we encourage our students to always keep abreast of what is happening and ensure that you do what it takes to put yourself in a position to access not just scholarships and bursaries, but also any other opportunities which exist. And I also want to mention our Student Academic Enrichment Fund. We have not had much persons applying for that since COVID, even though it was very active prior to that. Students who are in final year and who would like to pursue a seminar or something overseas that is in line with your area of study, the Office of Student Financing offers support for that type of conference, seminar, and there's a process which is outlined in detail on the website. I'm going to focus on the scholarship, so I don't want to get into that now, but I want you to be aware that if you're a final year student and you want to travel overseas to do a conference or a seminar, there is something that the Office of Student Financing can do to assist you. Now, excuse me, feel free, once you have submitted a scholarship or bursary, to reach out. Reach out to the Office of Student Financing, reach out to your other donors to whom you have applied for scholarships and bursaries. Sometimes there's a reason why you in particular have not received a response, right? We will typically send an email to all our applicants to say we're in receipt of your application, but it could very well be that maybe because of your writing, your C is taken as a 6, and so the email that is sent to you is not received, because we have had instances of that. We also use the numbers that the students put on their application forms. Sometimes it's only the parents who answer, and we may call 2-3 times, leave a message, and the message is delivered after the time that we need a response. So we have to reach out to another student. So it is very important that when you put your application form together, the information is clear. We can read it, right? And you respond to the email and telephone numbers that you submit on your applications. One, Ms. Charles spoke about being honest, and it is so important that students are honest, be honest in the interviews, because you think it's not detected, but the panel members do detect. You may ask a series of questions and you're not satisfied that the answer came across clearly. And so another set of questions which seem unrelated may be posed. And that will indicate to the panel if students are being honest in terms of their responses. right? A donor only wants to know that you're being honest, and then the donor panel can determine if you're the right fit for the scholarship. Because you're not the right fit for that scholarship on that day, doesn't mean that you won't receive another scholarship or bursary. So we just want to encourage you to be honest, right? When you are contacted for an interview, prepare. If you're unsure of how to prepare, reach out to the Office of Student Financing. There are various tips on our website about preparing for scholarship interviews, and there are tips on other websites as well. But sometimes we do get a sense that students have not adequately prepared in terms of learning about the donors, how you put yourself together, I mean your clothes, hair, etc. for the interview. And some donors pay more attention to that aspect of your interview presentation than others. So we encourage you to prepare in every aspect for the interview. Do not assume that a donor will not find out if you have reached their scholarships. We have had several instances where students access scholarships and bursaries outside of the university. The donors send the funding here, and then the students access a scholarship in the university that is in line with university rules, thinking that the donor will not find out. Maybe you'll go through semester 1 and all will be well, but semester 2, an issue will crop up, and if you your parents that made preparation to pay your fees, it could mean that maybe you'll be deregistered or barred from sitting your exams, and we do not want that for any student, right? So that's very important. There are some times when we have interviews for scholarships and bursaries, and the donors are so impressed. It may be that it's only one scholarship they intended to offer, but because there are 2 students or 3 students who impress the panel so much, you end up seeing 1 scholarship and 2 bursaries, and the bursaries are normally at least 50% of the tuition, right? So we want to encourage you to put yourself in that place to be considered for any possible award that exists. Sometimes during the academic year, donors will simply send us an email. It may not be an established UWI donor. It may be someone, an individual or entity who has found that based on where they are in that space and time, they want to assist a student, and they will reach out and they will say, I want a student who is from a single parent household. They don't need to have a 3.0 GPA. They just need to have a financial need, and they need to have a balance owing to the university. So there are various donors who reach out to assist students throughout the academic year. And that is why it is very important for every student who have this financial need to submit an application form. It is also important that if you don't have a financial need, but you're doing very well academically, that you look for the scholarship on our website that is there just for you, because you are awarded or rewarded for doing well in school. It's not just about having a financial need. Now, last academic year, the UWI regulations were changed. Initially, students were allowed to hold 2 or more scholarships that cover tuition. And whenever students access additional scholarships for hall fees, etc., we would have to seek special permission from the donors for them to hold their award, because it would be outside of the rule, and the donor would have to say that was their intention. They know the rule, but they still want to assist the students. The rule was changed by the campus registrar's office to make things much easier for our students. So whilst we do respect that several of our donors offer student scholarships, and they are accepting other scholarships and bursaries, where our donors will permit, the university allows the University of the West Indies, MONA, allows students to access 2 or more scholarships or bursaries, which will cover their tuition and hall fees. Some students really do not have any financial support, and even when you give them a scholarship for tuition, they have a challenge with the hall fees. And so we're here to support wherever the gap is. Now, there persons will say, why should one student access multiple awards when there are other students who are in need? And I have to say, the student who is in need must submit an application. Now, if we have many students who are submitting their applications and who are utilizing all the scholarships, then it may be that one student may not access 2 scholarships or 3 scholarships, and we will be able to support more students throughout the process. But the students who do apply and who do have a financial need, the rule is here to ensure that you can be supported. So we encourage you to submit your application. I think it was the last presenter, Ms. Henry, who spoke about the fact that some years the Office of Student Financing does not have sufficient applications. And that is true, and it is mainly for particular scholarships. And those scholarships I'm going to highlight directly, because I think sometimes because students are not reading through everything, you don't see that there's this unique scholarship for you because you're from a particular place, or you're from a particular high school, or you're registered in a specific program of study. These special scholarships are there for you. And we want to ensure that moving forward, all our students are going to submit their applications. One thing the team will tell you in the Office of Student Financing is that for the past 2 years, where students submit applications for scholarships and bursaries, and they're not able to benefit from a scholarship or bursary, they're always considered for financial aid automatically. So at the end of semester 1, we will go through a review process to see what funds exist from the university and various donors, and what students have balances and how they can be assisted. And the same for semester 2, because we do try to process most of the scholarships and bursaries between August and October. However, some of the scholarships are also dependent on when the donor is ready, because they have a timeline within their organization. And some of the scholarships are not processed early because we don't have enough application, and that should never happen. So don't look at it and say, there are so many students at UWI, I will not submit an application because I'm not going to get through. If you don't apply, you cannot get through with a scholarship or bursary. So I'm imploring you to submit your applications for scholarships and bursaries during the application period. Now, I would like to highlight a few scholarships. Gladstone and Hermione Pottinger Scholarship for students who are members of the United Church of Jamaica and Grand Cayman. And I'm not singling out any scholarships because all our scholarships are very important. I'm just highlighting some that are really unique in terms of the criteria and may be overlooked by students and have been overlooked to some extent in the past. And we want to ensure that we get as many applications as we do for other scholarships and bursaries that exist within the Office of Student Financing. Now we have the May Mercer Scholarship, which is for students from Glengough. Now this is a scholarship that is going to pay all your tuition. We don't want those monies to sit on any account for the academic year. There may not be many students matriculating from Glengough, but we have enough to meet the criteria so that we can give 2 students a scholarship each year. So we want to ensure that you apply. I'm seeing in the chat, could you repeat the name, please? I am thinking it is for the scholarship from Glengough. So I'm going to say, oh, for the United Church. Sorry, it is Gladstone and Hermione Pottinger Scholarship for students who are members of the United Church of Jamaica and Grand Cayman. The Jamaica Money Market Brokers and JMB Joe Duncan Foundation, they have 10 scholarships and 10 bursaries that they give every year. They've been giving these scholarships for several years now, but we do have some of the disciplines that we have a challenge because we do not have sufficient applications. At the start of the scholarship, we had an issue with marketing. Now we're so happy. The marketing candidates are excellent and we're getting so many marketing applicants, and we have many other scholarships for which marketing students can benefit as well. So continue to send your applications. But we also have finance, banking and finance, operations management, or MIS program. We're not getting enough application in those areas. And the JMB scholarship is not the only donor or scholarship that covers funding for those students. So I just want to highlight those areas so that students who are here can benefit from it and can also share with their friends. Now, students with disabilities. University has so many students with disability, and every scholarship on the portal that a student with disability is eligible for, they can apply any scholarship. So if you are in final year and you're doing studies and you meet the criteria, you can apply. But we also have special scholarships online just for you, and we want to ensure that for the 2023-2024 academic year, all the students who are eligible submit their application. And we will be doing a special session with students through the Office of Student Services and Development. We have already discussed it. That should come on board soon, but I want to highlight the scholarships. We have the PWC scholarship for students with disabilities, that is $200,000 per year. We have the We Got Jamaica Special Bursary. We have the Guild Accessibility Grant. We have the Lions Club of Mona Scholarship for students with disabilities. So this is not for everyone. And if the students with disabilities do not apply, then the funds remain on the donors' accounts. And we do not want that. We want them to be so impressed that next year they will say, okay, I will not give one scholarship. I will give 2 or 3 or 4, right? So please send your applications. And if you have challenges, reach out to the Office of Student Financing. We will walk you through the process to get your application here. Now, one of the bursary that we administer is the PATH bursary. And the PATH bursary is so important because of the number of students who benefit from it each year. It could be over 100 students who benefit. The students have to apply and be eligible. So students who were in a PATH household, who are registered in a PATH household throughout high school, once you matriculate to the university, you continue to benefit from the PATH bursary. However, first-year students, you have to come submit your application form to the Office of Student Financing. Application period is between August and September each year. If there's any student here who benefits, they will tell you. If it's late, if it's October, we still accept it. However, the application period is August to September, and when students submit after that, we have to get special permission from the ministry. Now, once you access it in first year, if you're in second, or even if you didn't know you could benefit in first year, for second, third, fourth year students, because it's for students from first to fourth year, once your GPA is 2.5 at the end of the academic year, then you are eligible. Which GPA are we referring to? Your GPA for the last academic year, because sometimes students look at the different GPA on their transcript and they say, but I thought, that I was still eligible. It's important that you note it's a GPA for the last academic year. So for 2023-2024, it is going to be the GPA for 2022-2023 that is relevant to your PATH bursary application, right? I stated that it is relevant for years 1 to 4. It doesn't mean that if you're in a 3-year program and you repeat year 3, you're still going to get it. It means that if you're in a 4-year program, you can get it for the 4 years. And if you're in a 5-year program such as MED, then you can get it from year 1 to 4. So it's very important that you submit your application. Students are required to print the form from the Office of Student Financing website and submit a physical form to us. Ensure that you write your ID number on the form. We're not allowed to adjust the form. It's a Ministry of Labor and Social Security form, but we do need your ID number in order to process. And the minister also requires your ID number. So please ensure that you write it on the form. Once you submit the forms to us, the information is checked, as in terms of the GPA from the university side, your ID number, the things that we can see. So your PATH number, we're not able to check that. You have to ensure that the PATH number that you document on the form is correct, and also your date of birth. So if you submit the wrong number, I'm aware that the ministry does do a cross-check with your date of birth to ensure that we're all talking about the same students. Once the information is submitted to us, then we submit to the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. And historically, I don't know if it will change for the upcoming academic year, but historically, the list of students who are awarded is received in semester 2. What does that mean for your fees? It means that you have to make plans for semester 1. Do not budget to use the PATH 100,000 bursary to pay your fees in semester 1, because we do not, or we have not historically received that list in semester 1. We have used it in we have received it in semester 2, and therefore consideration is given to students in semester 2 if the list of approved students are not received. By the time you have the reason we're to do is, since I have never seen any deviation in your policy. So if you have the GPA, you're gonna get it. If you have 948, you're not going to get it. And I have not seen any deviation from that. So because of that, we would typically have an idea of the list of students who will be approved. And so the university can give consideration to those students if the list isn't here by mid-semester, and if that is the amount that you still have owing, right? Now, Ministry of Education scholarships. This is very important that I highlight it, because the university partners with these entities to ensure that our students can access tertiary education without feeling stressed out financially. And as was highlighted before, and as I also said, we do not have enough students applying for the scholarships and bursaries, and the Ministry of Education faces the same challenge. The Ministry of Education has scholarships for all areas of study. Students have to apply. Their application deadline is June 30th. So if you have not yet gone on the website, the email was shared earlier. The website was shared earlier in the chat. Please take a look. Look at the scholarships that they have and see which ones are relevant for you and submit your application. For students who are studying engineering, I hope that there are students here or that you have friends. The ministry pays 100% of your engineering tuition. Do you know how much is the engineering tuition for a year? $10,000 US. And if the students, when they're interviewed, they have a need to live on hall, the ministry will pay the housing. What more can you ask for? What do you need to do? Apply and submit the documents that they request, right? So the ministry has several scholarships. I'm now highlighting their MST vet scholarship, right? Which is on the website, on their portal. Submit your application by June 30th. I'm making a special call to engineering students. We really should not have any engineering students who say they can't pay their fees. There is a bonding that was mentioned earlier by one of the presenters, but it is important to get a better understanding of the bonding process before you as a student decide that you're not going to take a scholarship because there is bonding. Excuse me. One of the issues that students have raised is that they may want to go and do their master's, so they don't want to be bonded. The ministry understands. What it takes is communication. The ministry will provide you with, will assist you to achieve your objectives as well as not breach their bond, right? I don't want to go into much details about that because they have the persons who will speak to it. So don't think that you're going to lose a future opportunity because you are bonded, right? So explore and apply for the engineering scholarships that they have. We have Sidney Phillips Scholarship for students who are from St. Mary, and Ms. Henry mentioned it, right? Now, some of our external donors complain bitterly because they have scholarships only for UWI students, and sometimes they do not get enough application. The deadline for the Sidney Phillips Scholarship, if you're from St. Mary, May 26th, and it's not one scholarship that they give, so please submit your application. Insurance Association of the Caribbean, prestigious scholarship students apply. Deadline is June 2nd. This is for students who are doing actuarial sciences. We have the Fullerton Long Actuarial Scholarship that we here at the Office of Student Financing, we administer. Our donors are appealing to our actuarial sciences students. There are many, many scholarships in this space now, because with everything that is happening in the financial sector and other areas, your skill, your specialization, your discipline is so important and will be so important as we move forward. And therefore, they have provided scholarships and bursaries for you, and you need to access them. The application period for the Office of Student Financing for scholarships and bursaries is May 1st to June 30th, right? And if you are a first-year student, I guess it would not be on here, but you may know a student. First-year students who are given offer letters after the period for the application, we still accept their applications. We liaise with the admissions department, and students who are given offers after the scholarship application period, we still accept their scholarship application forms to give them an equal opportunity for accessing scholarships and bursaries. As was mentioned before, you have Sagicor Foundation, Grace Kennedy Foundation, you have Carreras, you have Jamaica Flour Mills, you have so many entities that are here to assist you as students, and I do not want anyone to miss an opportunity. There was a question posed about non-Jamaicans. I think I saw a question from someone from Trinidad and Tobago. There are two major scholarships for students from CARICOM, and that is the 8th UWI scholarship and the UWI Toronto Gala scholarship. If you look on the website, you will note that those 2 scholarships require you to complete separate forms. The reason that is important is because those scholarships application forms are sent to a regional office for processing, right? So if you're applying for 8th UWI or UWI Toronto Gala scholarship, along with other scholarships on the OSF website, please ensure that you submit 2 application forms to us. And that is the reason why now, moving out of COVID, we no longer have the drop box in SAS. We want all our students to come directly to the OSF so that we can quickly identify if there is anything wrong with your scholarship application form, and we can assist you. Many times we find that the students don't complete the budget properly. We will assist them in terms of finding out what are their projections, etc., and aiding them in terms of how they should document it on the form. Right? Students can also access JAMVAT through the Ministry of Education, that is Jamaica Values and Attitudes Program, to assist with paying their fees here at UWI. JAMVAT pays 30% of tuition up to $350,000, and for students to benefit, they have to apply to the Ministry of Education within the time they accepted into the program, do their 200 hours of voluntary service, and then the funds are sent to the university on their behalf, right? So 2 key things I want to leave with you today before I move into any questions that you may have. Ensure that you plan. There are many, many avenues to fund your tuition, and you need to explore them before you know that you need to. Some of the students that we interact with will say, Miss, I did not submit an application form because my parent had said that they would pay. Now we're coming into a tertiary institution. A part of our responsibility is to support our parents in the process, because we really are the ones who are going to benefit first from the education that we receive at UWI or any other financial institution. So how to prepare? Apply for scholarships and bursaries. Whether or not you think you're going to need it, have that plan. If you're not sure, if mommy and daddy has committed to paying your fees, or other relatives, they do not have all the funds up front, apply for a payment plan from the bursary. Payment plan allows you to pay on a monthly basis without incurring the automatic 1% charge that is going to go on your account if you do not pay your fee by the due date in semester 1 or semester 2. So apply for a payment plan if you don't have all the funds at once. Apply for scholarships and bursaries. Be proactive. If you applied for SLB and you're having any challenge, please feel free to visit Office of Student Financing, because we try to understand the challenge that you have. We send emails to them on your behalf or liaise with them by telephone. They always respond to us as students. Sometimes the students say they do not respond to them. And when we check, we realize that they may have sent emails to them and the students didn't respond. Or there are some times when no response really was sent to the students. So we try to bridge that gap and not to have our students on the road back and forth with the SLB. So as long as it's not a case of you dropping off your documents to them, once that period is finished with SAS, any other issue that you have, please feel free to visit the OSF and we will try to assist you. I hope that covers most of what you would want to hear about today, but if there are any questions, I'm here. All right, there is a question from Carice, which says, how soon after applying to OSF will you get a response stating that your application has been received? On our website, there is a scholarship roadmap that I want students to pay attention to. It tells you all the dates. Applications open May 1st. Students submit applications to the OSF between May 1st and June 30th. And all applicants will receive an email response by July 31st, acknowledging that we have received their applications in the Office of Student Financing. So if come July 31st, you did not receive an email from the Office of Student Financing, we're asking you just to reach out to us to advise us so that we can see what is the issue. As I said before, sometimes with the writing from the students, there may be an error in terms of what is picked up, as well as human error in terms of when you're sending out the emails. And we want to ensure that every student is captured. So please look at the website, look at our roadmap, see what the process is, and follow through on your scholarship application. An earlier question was about UWI Open, and I hope that the student is here. I'll get to you in a second, Beviano. The UWI Open Scholarships, is administered by the UWI regional headquarters. However, currently only one scholarship is offered per year, and that is to the matriculant of each campus, right? So there's one scholarship per campus. The student who is coming into the university with the highest grades each year, that is the student that now gets the UWI Open Scholarship from each campus. Interviews start the 3rd week of August until we have finished processing all the scholarships and bursaries that we have. Typically, we aim to complete by October because we know that there is mid-semester, but as I highlighted earlier, some things are dependent on our donors, and there are instances when we do not have enough students for the scholarships and bursaries, and therefore we have to extend the time by reaching out to students in particular groups directly, etc. Biviano, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Can you go ahead? I see your hand is up.
Good afternoon, Miss. It's Viviana.
Okay, good afternoon, Viviana.
Sorry for my tardiness, but I was on the road and I didn't get to join early. But I heard you said something about offer letters. Could you expound on that? You said we could send in a letter to the OSF.
I am not sure about that part of it, but if I hadn't mentioned offer letters, but in terms of offer letters, once a student is awarded a scholarship, then we give them an offer letter, which is a legally binding document, which tells us which tells the student what you're getting from the donor and what is expected in return. For example, some scholarships require community service or participation in an activity or an internship, or for you not to access other scholarships and bursaries, etc. So that is what an offer letter is. When a student receives a scholarship, until you have signed and returned that offer letter, your award is not updated on the system unless a donor sends in particular approval for us to do so because something extraneous is happening, right? Let's see another question. Who should the letters be addressed to? There is, where did it go? Who should the letters be addressed to when applying for scholarships through the OSF? Okay, so the Office of Student Financing uses an application form. The only letters you would be required to submit is if a particular scholarship asks for a letter addressed to the donor outlining something. In most instances, they will simply say, write an essay with a topic or theme, why I need the scholarship. And in that case, you don't need to address your letter. You would write the essay with the topic. When you are returning your package, that's your offer package that you're given by the Office of Student Financing, then you would address your thank you letter to the donor, and the insert in your offer package gives you that information, so you would not need to search for it. I'm checking to see if there's any other question here. When do interviews normally begin? That's the middle of August. Am I missing any question, Mr. Thomas? All right, there is one question here. Any scholarships particularly there for integrated marketing communication, CARIMAC? Okay, so all the scholarships under the Faculty of Humanities and Education, unless otherwise stated, would be relevant to CARIMAC students. We do have the bespoke CARIMAC grant that is there, which will be aligned with your question. We have another donor coming on board this year, which will be the Jordan A. Hanlon scholarship that you can find under the Faculty of Humanities and Education. But all the scholarships that are there, unless they state specifically that it's only for language and linguistics or French or whatever the discipline is, it's relevant to the students from CARIMAC as well. I'm not sure. Will applications be sent online? I'm not sure. Simeon Moore, I'm not sure what your question is asking. Do you want to open your mic? And also there is a question, any scholarships particular for medical sciences students? All right, yes, there are scholarships for students from the Faculty of Medical Sciences. Once you visit the Office of Student Financing website, mona.uwi.edu/OSF. Financial aid, both scholarships and bursaries, Faculty of Medical Sciences, and you will see the myriad of scholarships that are listed there for students from your faculty. It's important that you review each of the scholarship that is there to see which ones are applicable to you. For Office of Student Financing scholarships, students are able to apply for up to 10 scholarships and bursaries, as well as financial aid if that need exists. The financial aid application period operates in line with the teaching period. So we open in January and close in December. And sorry, we open September, close in December, meaning you won't be able to submit your application after that period, say December 10th, if that is when that's the last day of exam. And for January, the portal opens when teaching begins, and it also closes at the end of, it also closes at the end of the exam period in May. So that is how financial assistance works. It's an online process, and the portal is only open during the period when there is teaching to exams. Should we submit essays for specific scholarships that require them alongside the application form? Yes, you should. So you have one application form, you're able to list up the 10 scholarships. But if you're doing New Fortress and you're doing another scholarship and each donor asks for an essay, most times the topics are different. So you need to submit 2 essays for each of the donor. However, if it's just to say, why do I need this scholarship? Then you don't need to write 2 essays, because if you're shortlisted for either one of them, then we would send the essay along with the rest of your application when we're doing our shortlisting and interviews. I see Anne-Marie Gale asking if there are scholarships for postgraduate students. There are scholarships for postgraduate students. The OSF does not administer postgraduate scholarships, but I think Kenisha Henry did a good job of explaining about the embassies and the various entities that offer postgraduate scholarships. I think the only one I didn't hear her mention that we're very familiar with is Carreras, because they give multiple undergraduate scholarships, but they also have scholarships for students who are doing postgraduate studies. David, is there any question that I am missing? Okay, so students who are submitting their application forms, you do not need to submit your transcripts. Many times the students will come and they're so stressed because they're saying, hey, I'm going to apply for the transcript. You do not need to submit this transcript. We have it there because it's a part of the donor's requirement, but the OSF is able to supply that part of it, so you do not need to include it. And there was an earlier question which I responded to in the chat, but just in case anyone missed it, do not wait on your grades to submit your application form. Submit your application forms now. When the grades become available, your form will be processed with the correct information, because we will access it to do that, right? So submit your application forms now.
I think I'm seeing a question as it relates to hall fees, if there's
Yes,
anything
in terms of financial assistance, we have book grants, housing grants, meal grants, and the cash grants. So most times the housing grant is $50,000 for students who apply, and they live in a UWI owned hall of residence. If it is external funds that we have for housing, then it can be extended to non-UWI owned hall of residence. When students are participating in the interviews and expressing their need to donors. If you live off campus and you're renting, you're not living with your family, it's very important that you express to the donor that that is the situation. Sometimes the understanding is that the students live on hall and the donors send the funds for that purpose and do not want their monies to be transferred out of the university, but the students are actually paying rent. Some donors do not mind having the monies refunded to students to pay rent, but some donors, based on their internal policies, especially if they're foundations, registered charities, they don't want the funds to be transferred. And if they want to give the funds directly to the student, then they will send a portion here that is just for UWI, and the difference will go directly to the student's bank account. Grace Kennedy Foundation does that, JMMB Foundation does that. So it's important that you outline correctly what is your situation when you are participating in the interviews.
Someone is asking for the link. I think the link is on SAS.
Okay, there's a question if you weren't able to participate in any leadership or co-curricular activities. Special consideration is given to that. Some of our students, unfortunately, are not able to benefit from the many clubs and societies that we have because based on their financial situation, they work. So we don't encourage it. The UWI rule speaks about it, but we have found that there are students who are working full-time and coming to school full-time. I don't know how the students do it, hats off to them, but it's not something that is encouraged, but we recognize that some students do it because they say they don't have a choice. And as I am happy for that question, because I need to highlight something. Again, pay attention to the rules of your scholarship and bursary. Now, donors will consider your circumstance if you do not meet the GPA or other requirements that they have for you to continue on an award. So if the scholarship you got was not just for 1 year, it could have been for 2 years, 3 years, but there's a criteria. When you reach it deliberately, it's a challenge for them to make an exception for you when you don't meet the grades. For example, we recently had a situation, a student is on a scholarship that pays 10,000 US per year, but you're not supposed to work. The student worked, did not achieve the GPA. And so whilst you would have been given special consideration by that donor for not meeting the GPA, there's also the breach of working. And then when you declare that it's because you were working that you weren't able to meet it. So you have to be mindful that the persons who are giving scholarships and bursaries, they have rules and regulations and they're audited, right? So you have to ensure that you meet them halfway. If you're having a challenge, reach out to the Office of Student Financing and we'll connect you with your donor. Or if you access your scholarship independently of the Office of Student Financing and you're having a challenge, reach out to the donor to say what the challenge is so that you can have a fix to the situation that is in line with all the policies, because there's always a way that you can be assisted, even if it is for them to give permission for another donor to assist you or something like that. But don't breach their policies, because then that doesn't encourage them to assist you when, when anything goes wrong. Will the Grace Kennedy Food Bank be available next semester? Yes, the Grace Kennedy Food Bank will be available next semester. We do not have the information for next semester yet. They will always give us the updates at the end of the academic year, and then we take it from there. But typically, from September, once you have a need for that, you can submit your interest to the Office of Student Financing, or you can apply for general financial assistance on our website. If you can be assisted in more than one way, then definitely we will do so. Where would I volunteer for JAMVAT? Okay, students need to submit their application to the Ministry of Education. So log on to the Ministry of Education website, look for Jamaica Values and Attitudes Program, and apply there. If you have any challenges, then you reach out to their tertiary unit. They're very responsive. And if for any reason you're not getting a response, then you can reach out to the Office of Student Financing and we will assist in connecting you with them. Where can I find the link to apply for meal, books, and housing grants? The link is on the SAS portal. So when you log on to your student portal, where you will see the option to view your fees and your course grades, there is a link there that says OSF Financial Assistance. That is the link that you use to apply for general financial assistance during the year. It would be closed now, but we will reopen in September for the 2023-2024 academic year. Now, if you're on this meeting and you have a financial challenge, reach out to us. We do not have any scholarships or bursaries at this time, but there may be opportunities to assist in terms of financial aid. So if you're still having a challenge right now, especially if it's with a small balance, please reach out to us and we will see how we can assist. Who should we address the sealed envelope of supporting documents and application forms? Okay. Take your forms with the supporting documents directly to the OSF. No envelope is required because once you come, our rep is going to check the form with you to ensure that it is properly prepared. If you're asking someone to deliver the form on your behalf and you prefer for it to be sealed, then you can address it to the Manager, Office of Student Financing. And we will open, verify, and advise you that we have received the same. Is it that the curricular activities from high school won't be valid on the application form? Yes, they're valid. And even if you're in year 2, it's valid, especially in instances where for specific reasons you are not able to participate in year 1, then it shows the panel that you would have been participating in the past. And so based on this reason that you have presently, you did not participate in year 1, and you will express what it is that you intend to participate in year 2 if there's anything of interest to you, right? In terms of JAMVAT, the Minister of Education will discuss with the students, the organizations that you can volunteer with. I don't know if anything has changed post-COVID, but we did see where a lot of students were able to, so for example, if you live near to a police station and you're spoken to them and they're willing for you to volunteer there, the ministry is not going to send you out of your way to go to a different entity. They will normally accept that location that is convenient to you, and all the other documents will follow. So they will work with you if you already have somewhere that you can do the community hours. In terms of applying for the housing grant, it's the OSF Financial Assistance that I just outlined on the portal on SAS. You will see that link. That is how you apply for the housing grant. And students, please, when you're submitting your application, do not write, I need a housing grant, full stop. You have to explain why you need a housing grant, because there are many students applying for the grants. Maybe your financial record does not verify that need for a housing grant, or sometimes students, the persons who do references for them may not indicate that they have a financial need. So it's important that you persons who really know you and can speak to your financial need for your references when you're submitting your application, because we do look to the reference as well as a confirmation of your situation when we receive your application form. I'm just checking quickly if there's anything else. I think my time is up. Are interviews always done face-to-face? No, interviews are not always done face-to-face. The Office of Student Financing had always been doing Zoom interviews, even prior to COVID, because we had the hotel and tourism management students in the Bahamas, the UWI Mona, WJC is a part of the UWI Mona. WJC is our second location for Mona. And so all those students benefit from scholarships and bursaries from the Office of Student Financing. So as long as the donors are ready, willing, and able, then we do Zoom interviews for the scholarships and bursaries. There are a few donors who definitely want face-to-face interviews, like New Fortress Energy Scholarships and a few others, but most of them are via Zoom. If you're abroad during the summer, still submit your application form and it will be processed. Even if you're an internship, if you are doing a UWI approved internship in semester 1 or semester 2 and you're at some other university, you are still eligible to apply for scholarships and bursaries because the interview is via Zoom in most instances. And if a student is shortlisted and it's a face-to-face interview, then the donors will always allow for us to do that one student via Zoom and everyone else comes face-to-face. So we do try to ensure that we can accommodate all the students who have put themselves forward to benefit from scholarships, bursaries, and financial aid. Right. I think I have answered all the questions. We are here. If you need to reach out, I'm going to put the Office of Student Financing contact numbers in the chat very quickly so that you can have them and you can reach out to us as the need arises. And my email I hope the information is beneficial to all of you. I hope that every student has taken away some very important points that you can use to assist you on your journey throughout the upcoming academic year. And I hope we will meet some of you face to face.
Thank you very, very much, Ms. Hastings. I'm sure a lot of persons now learn some things that they didn't know before. And so guys, the contacts being sent in the WhatsApp, in the chat, so you guys can have it and ask your question if needs be. As it really have a question though, as it relates to the PATH scholarship or bursary, is that available to postgraduate students or strictly undergraduate? Because PATH is, I don't know where it stops.
Undergraduates.
Okay, so undergraduate.
Right. So I don't know if they have anything for postgraduate students. No, I've never seen anything in the past.
Okay. Persons are not seeing the contact in the chat, so can you just send it so that I can have it? Okay. So there's a phone number, guys, that you can have access and you can get some more information on what's happening. You're muted, Ms. Hastings.
Did everyone see the email address? I typed it earlier.
You guys saw the email address?
Again.
No, they're not seeing it.
Okay.
Okay. So guys, the email address is there, shauna.astin@uwimona.edu.jm. And the contact numbers are there, so you guys can have that. All right, so thank you very, very, very much, assistants. As I said before, the students have learned definitely a lot. And guys, these applications are out there. As mentioned, certain scholarships are there which become available when the donors have them available. So it's always good to continuously check the website to check to see what's there, because certain things may be open for different periods of the year, for different periods going around. So don't believe that, okay, this application period seems like it's over. There's always something that you guys can always see that pops up, and it's scholarships for everything. So we're talking about for housing grant, we're talking about for meal cards, for gift vouchers, for tuition. So all these different things are there for you guys to have access to. So I just want to thank all our speakers today. So I want to thank Jada Powell, Kenisha Henry, and Ms. Shauna Hastings Edwards for coming and talking in the last session about how you guys can access these scholarships. And they all have different social media pages that you guys can definitely follow, and these information will definitely be there for you. Another thing, as Ms. Hastings posted in the chat, is that scholarships for CARICOM nationals, you have the AFUWI and the UWI Toronto Gala. So those are two scholarships which you guys can also check and see what's happening. I'm seeing some persons who in the chat, they asked about Grace Kennedy. So Grace Kennedy will be coming tomorrow. So you guys can, for those that are interested in asking about the different meal banks, etc., Grace Kennedy will be here tomorrow around the same time. So you can join tomorrow's session and then you can have those questions for them. Some persons asked about the VM scholarships. So the VM scholarships are up and they will be ending on July 8th. So persons here, persons in postgraduate can apply for the master plan. Persons entering final year can apply for the master plan as well. Persons in the STEM subjects, then you can apply for those scholarships as well. And undergraduate students across discipline, you can apply for the future plan. So those scholarships are there for you guys to apply. Also for medical students, from the Office of Student Financing, there are scholarships that you guys can go and apply for. For engineering students, very, very important, the ministry offers full tuition. So these are certain things that you guys should take advantage of. We have other partnerships that we work with, Students on Path. You can, up to in your second semester, get your bursary. I think it's 100,000 or more, not quite sure, but you guys can get that. I think there was a SLB bursary as again. I'm not quite sure if that's still in place, but you have some grants like that. You have the scholarships for different medical students per annum for up to 5 years. So there's different things that the students can access, different things that the students can definitely get, and it can help you to finance your future. All right, so I just want to thank everyone for coming. Thank all the sponsors, everyone for just coming and sharing with you guys about the different scholarships that are out there. Tomorrow will be another exciting day. So I hope you guys can turn out, and we'll have different persons coming out as well. Different persons from different foundations talking about different ways in which you can access your scholarships. So thank you very much for coming today. I applaud your patience. And again, guys, it's in the chat for if you guys want to reach out to anything. Just before I go, I'm seeing someone, and Alan, you can go ahead if that's a question or something that you want to say.
Hello, good day.
Good day.
Good day. Can we access the recording of today?
Yes, so once the recording becomes available, so it would be on access to it, or a link, or how you can get access to it will be available from the Commuting Students page. So you can follow the page, and that would give you some content on where to get these recordings. All right. So once it becomes available, we'll let the posting out there, and then you guys can know where to get it. All right, so thanks again, guys, for coming out. On behalf of the Commuting Students Office, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to our students for coming out. Thank you for our sponsors for coming on and sharing with you guys what they need for these scholarships. And I just want to say, come out tomorrow for the final day, our day 2 of our scholarship weekend. And I hope that you guys can learn something. And I wish you all the best as it relates to financing your academic journey for the next upcoming semester. So thank you again, guys, and do enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care.